So, welcome to lesson 2 of Junior Division for AYSI. And first off, let's go what we reviewed last time. So last time we went into the basics of MIT App Inventor. And it was like the math operations, screen setup, and we also created a simple calculator app. This lesson, we're going to focus on the basics of programming that are almost the same for like popular programming languages. More specifically, it will be data types and functions. Let's start off with Booleans. So, Daniel, do you know what Booleans are? Yes, okay. So I'll just go quickly. It's just a true and false. And as you can see here, it's just not and or is what you can use for evaluating to a Boolean. So not true is what, Daniel? If something is not true, it would be false. So, and if something is true and false, as you can see here, it would be evaluate to false. And then true and true evaluates to true. Wait, I have something here. Let's see. Well, Jessica, I'm just starting lesson 2. Okay, so, and if it's true or false, it will evaluate it true. But if it's false or false, it will evaluate to false. Got it? Did you get it, Daniel? Yes, okay. Of course, you can do logic comparison, and it's just like you can use greater than, less than, or equal to signs to evaluate to a Boolean. This does not only compare numbers, it compares strings, lists, and other things as well. So as you can see, 32 is not equal to 24. But if you put 32 is not like this symbol right here, then it will evaluate to true. Now let's go to the most important, like very important concept, I would say, is if-else statements. So if-else statements is like a hypothesis. Do you guys know what hypotheses are? Like in science, from science? A theory. Yeah. So if this happens, then this happens in science. So if the plant is watered every day, then it will grow. Correct? That's like a hypothesis. So, but in code, it's quite similar to that. If this is true, then do this. Just, we just learned Boolean, so that comes into this if-else statements. But what if it's not true? Then that is when like the else statements come into. As you can see, if, then. So if this is true, then this happens. But if this is not true, then it goes to the else statements. And the else, it happens no matter what, no matter what. It doesn't have if this is true, if this is not. It happens no matter what. And that the only condition is if statement needs to be not true. Do you guys understand? Sorry if I'm confusing you. Overall, it's just the else statement only happens when the if statement is not true or it's false. Any questions? Sorry. No, okay. We also have the else if statements. Now this adds on to the else if statements. So else if statements check if this statement is true, but it only checks after the if statement is false. Right. So as you can see from the difference between here and here is that there's an else if. and it goes to here. This becomes not true. Then else if is checked. Else if it's not true, then it goes to the else statement. But if else is true, then it executes whatever this is here. Okay, you guys got that? Yeah. Next is data types. Also another important concept. Data types are just, a way of differentiating data. So, because the computer does not know if something's a number or text, you have to tell it that. So every variable needs to be assigned a data type. So as I think, Dan, you remember that we had to equal it 0. That's when we tell it that this is a number. So now if you wanted a variable to be a text, you would put null for a global variable. Got that? Yes. Okay, next one is Booleans. As we said, Booleans are true and false. It allows comparisons. So, as the greater than, less than, greater or equal than, like that. But this is something new now. Numeric data types is a number. It's actually a number that we've been using. So the numbers that we used in the calculator app is what this is as well. In other programming languages, they have floats and longs. These are decimal numbers instead. But in MIT App Inventor, you can put decimals or whatever because it's a lot simpler. It's a block language. You're using blocks instead of actual text. And with these data types, you can do multiple math operations, as I said. Square root, absolute value, minimum, maximum number within. Like if you give a bunch of numbers, it can find the minimum and maximum number. Oops. Okay. Yeah. And there's a bunch of other stuff as well. You can round down, round up. You can always round down, which is using the floor function, and always rounding up to using the ceiling. Okay. Any questions on numerical values? Take that as a no. Last one is you can get random numbers. So you can actually tell the computer, hey, just give me a random number, and it would do it. And in this case, it would be random integer, random fraction. You can even get a decimal, but in that case, you have to get random integer plus a random fraction. Is that it for numerical? That's all for numeric data types or numbers. Is there any questions on this topic, or you need some time to get some notes down? Can you explain random decimal again? So yeah, here it's saying generate a random number with decimal. In MIT App Inventor, they don't have just random decimal. You have to do random integer from 1 to 100, and then you have to do a random fraction. So when you add up an integer and a fraction, the computer makes it as a decimal. Do you understand that? Yeah, okay. Looks like we have to give me 1 second saying that the meeting will end or something. Okay, so if the meeting ends abruptly, I'll put another link in Discord. All right. Okay. We also have text. This is another data type. So in text, this allows the computer to work with human language words. In some coding languages, these are called strings. or like strings of character. That's why it's called strings. Text can make up like a letter, special characters and numbers, like here, as you can see, hello, lesson 3. Each character has a number assigned to it called an index to represent like the location of the character. So for example, in hello, the indexed number of H would be 1. Okay, that's very important. The first character always has an index of 1 in MIT App Inventor, but that's not true in other coding languages. Some of the coding languages have 0, so you got to watch out for that. You can do a lot with text. So you can count the total number of like total characters, check if the text contains any characters, or you can trim off like spaces, like white spaces, as you can see here. Look, so many extra spaces, and then it changes that to just this. Is everyone good? What does it mean by character check? Character check, which slide? Is it this slide or the empty? That is true. Oh, okay. So it's checking if it's empty, like this text box is empty. So there's literally nothing in there. So it evaluates to true. So if I put like is empty, but this has like a letter A in it, it will evaluate to false. You see that? Yeah. Okay. All right. 1 second. Someone's pinging me on Discord. Okay. Sorry. They're just telling me to record. Okay. All right. Next time is joining text. You can join different texts together. Remember when joining text, it joins it without like knowing what you want. So if you see here, it says it's so hot, dogs are running in the park. So these are two different text blocks. But when you join it, it becomes it's so hot, dogs are running in the park. It doesn't know, right? The computer is kind of dumb in that way. You guys understand that? Okay. Numbers can be joined together using this way, but like it can only be joined in the sense of like you have 11 and then you have another number called like 1, and it joins it as in 111. It doesn't join as in like actually adding it up. Because for that you just use the add, function or the add block in MIT App Inventor. You can also split text, but you need to have a starting position or index position of like where you want to split it, and the length from that position. As you can see, it says start 9, so S is in the 9th position, and then it says length 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So it has store. This is called substring in other programming languages, and once you actually like get into those programming languages, you see how much things you can do with like a substring, or how in that code you can do substring. But in this case, you can just use this block right here. I think last but not least, you can compare text. So in this case, it's just comparing alphabetically, but it's case sensitive. So that means it looks at uppercase and lowercase. So capital letters are assigned a smaller value, as you can see here. So you're comparing Apple, but uppercase, to Apple, which is lowercase. And it's saying the Apple lowercase is greater than the Apple uppercase. So that means it's true, because Apple capital is assigned a smaller value. Got that? Okay. Now, you can also make all letters uppercase with the upcase button. I mean, the upcase block. Upcase block. And you can make all the text lowercase by the downcase block. Of course, you can combine all these notifications together. So here you can make Apple lowercase and also compare it with this. You see that, right? You're just combining all these modifications into one block. Okay. Last but not least, you can search for the text. We can even ask for the first position of the text, and you can replace text with other text, as you can see in the example. So in this case, you can see Kevin is watching TV shows. He's relaxing. We're looking for is, and we want to replace all of the is with was. So it changes to Kevin was watching TV shows. He was relaxing. And searching for text here, you can say Kevin's watching the TV shows and you're looking for is true, or starts at the text Kevin is watching TV shows, the piece is, and it will return the index of like the first place where the letter like I or the word is. So it's 7 in this case. All right, did everyone get that? I went through a lot for text and even numbers. Any questions, anything? Can you stay on this for a bit longer? Okay, yeah. You can take notes, or you should take notes. You should, because it's a lot of stuff, but at the same time, when you're actually applying it, it will help too. Okay. Yeah. Also, this meeting's about to end in 1 minute, so I'm gonna stop it and then I'll send a new link. Is that all right? Okay.